Hello, this is Catherine Wilson for Take Two of the Collaborative Change and Patterns presentation. So, the objective of this presentation is to kind of take a step back, talk a little bit about the affinity diagram and the mind map, and how I got to the final stage. So, this is the 8 design elements of the collaborative change methodologies. So within each methodology, these 8 design elements are present. So every one of them has an invitation. Everyone has a purpose about why we're going to use the approach. They all have a system that they're targeting. Who needs to be involved? Who are we pulling in? What is our objective? What are we looking to change? If there is an experience that is shared, what am I bringing to the table? What am I helping to deliver to you? What can you expect? There is a technology aspect, which is just a part of everything that we do every day. And then there's the evidence piece of it, where there's a science behind it. There is experts that can speak to the methodologies and the effectiveness of using them. Every single methodology has values, and they all have a way that you can become a master of these methodologies. So these are all present in every one of them, and I was aware of that coming in. So what I decided to do was kind of lay out for each of these different methodologies we were exploring. I'm like, well, I know I have to identify these pieces, which each of them. So that's how my slides started evolving. So I started with the 3x3 empathy factors. I talked about the invitation, and I started laying out all the pieces, the purpose, the system, the experience, all the pieces that I thought were critical to answer these questions, and then incorporated a small little mind map at the bottom where I'm taking, what I see at the center of the method and talking about how it's impacting and touching everything else. So from the 3x3 empathy factors, empathy at being at the core, and that you're looking to work with um, personal growth, professional development in empathy, and organizational culture transformation, which, if you know me, you know that's super dear to my heart. So whole scale change, I approached it the same way. I have included my experts at the top. I talked about the invitation. I talk about the purpose and what the goals are, the values. What are you looking to grab from this? At the center, I talk about, and I kind of think of the center being where the values are, because that's kind of the core of everything. And then the little bit of a mind mapping activity. And so I proceeded along with the same activity. Then, I kind of started focusing a little bit more about how they were structured. So with the T groups, it was a little different because this type of methodology is a little different than, say, whole scale change or open space. So it forced me to kind of tweak the way I was approaching it and started focusing more on the who's involved, because this specific methodology is a little different than the rest. So then I kind of went back, now I'm in collaborative arts. That's a little bit different. It's a little more high level. It's definitely a little more what we would call woo woo. So this one worked really well. I was able to use that same methodology, but then I fell back in with liberating structured, which is structured. So we've got that very flowy, fluid types of methodologies like collaborative arts. And then you have these a little bit more rigid but focused things like liberating structures. So that's where it started evolving. And you can see based on these slides how my final slides started evolving based on me just starting with the basics information, with the invitation, the purpose, the system that's impacted, the experience that the users and that I could deliver, and then I again including my experts, talking again about the values and illustrating the ways that you can master this by highlighting the important aspects of each of these methods. And then when I got to graphics recording and graphic facilitation, I kind of asked myself, this is really not doing graphics recording and graphic facilitation. And then I moved over to the PowerPoint slides, and that's where the integration happened. So I do hope this helped clear up how I approached my affinity diagram and my mapping, which is a little different than how it was structured in the book and maybe how some would do it. My approach is a lot more agile, where I'm grabbing requirements, which is where my background lies. So for me, when I looked at this problem and this activity, I approached it as someone who was analyzing and building a user story to gather all the specific information I needed in order to provide a level of analysis. So that's how I approached it, and hopefully that made a little more sense with why my slides were laid out and why my affinity and my mapping went in the direction it went is basically because I treated it like an agile process. So thank you. I hope this makes sense. Thank you for watching.